Here comes George Schleckick,
the one and only.
Often people have asked me how many tires I've went through on my cross-Canada tour. The tour was almost 9,500 kilometers, but I can honestly say that I only changed one tire the whole way. Nobody ever asked me how many chains I've worn out. Your chain is probably the most wearable part on your bike. That is especially true if you ride with a loaded touring bike or in winter conditions. The crazy thing is that your chain might be completely worn out without you realizing it. Have you looked at your chain recently? If not, this video is for you.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna clean my bike and I'm going to change the chain on my bike because, you know, after my recent review of my winter bike, after 3.5–4 months of heavy use during the winter, because this was my go-to only winter bike, the chain is pretty bad. I didn't realize how bad it actually was, but the other day I decided to measure it, thinking there's no problem when I ride it. It rides very smoothly, so how could it possibly be at the point where it's like just way beyond worn out? I'm telling you, this is what happens when you just keep riding. You will not notice a thing until one day you're going to change all your parts. My bike right now is at the point where I have to change the chain as well as the freewheel. Not a big deal in this case. When I rebuilt this bike, the chain and the freewheel, they were parts I got for free. However, they were in good condition. No measurable signs of wear on them at that point. Right now, very different story. I'll show you. Alright, as dirty as this is, it doesn't matter for making this measurement. What I gotta do is I'm gonna find a pin and line up the 0-inch mark with it, the center of it. Now I'm going to look at the other side of the ruler at the 12-inch mark. See, this pin here should be at the 12-inch mark. However, it is clearly by 1/8 or so of an inch out. That means this chain is pretty worn out, and if you look at it, it's probably more than 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to do this again so that you can see it better. See where my 12-inch mark is and how much it's out. You could see it there. It's, well, it is about 1/8 of an inch, I would say. Well, the other thing you can clearly see right now, the bike's dirty. I mean, really bad. See how dirty this rim is? I could do better than that. This needs to be cleaned. Since I'm going to be changing the chain, I'll be taking it off now. Why didn't I do it right away? Good question. Alright, in order to take off this chain, I need a chain breaker tool. This chain does not have a connecting link, so I have the choice between this one, this is a park tool. The pin here is interchangeable, so if I bend this or wear it out, I can replace it, which is great. I also have a chain breaker tool on my little multi-tool here. See, this is an awesome tool, but I use this usually for on the road. If anything goes wrong with my chain on the road and I have to open it up, I have this with me, and this pin here is not interchangeable. So if I bend this, my tool is ruined. So whenever I work on my bicycle at home, this is the way to go. Alright, I put my tool right here. Gotta back it off. Put it right in the center, like right around the link. So the pin, it's really simple. It presses out, the pin on the tool presses out the pin on the chain. You can see it come out the other side. If you have a connecting link on your chain, that's a bit easier to open up, and I will show you that on my new chain when I get to that point. Right now, this is far enough. I don't want it all the way out. In this case, it wouldn't matter. But sometimes I might want to reuse the same pin, push it back in. So then once it's out, that's impossible to do. There you go, chain's off. Alright, what happens to your chain is they call it stretch. It gets longer. How it does that is not because the metal stretches, it is because the pins start to wear off. Each one of them at their own place, and the difference that it makes is very small for each individual pin. But over a distance of 12 inches, I can measure a difference of 1/8 of an inch right now. So this tells me that my chain is done. Now, if you don't have a ruler handy, there's another way you can check your chain, and you will know by feel pretty much when it's time to change it, and I'll show you. Alright, this is my old chain. It's of course dirty as hell. Never mind that, but see, I can wiggle it like that quite substantially. I've actually seen worse. I've had chains that were just ridiculous. But see, you can even wiggle it like this. There is play in here, and that once it gets to that point, it'll just start wrecking your other parts. So it's time to change this one. Alright, what I have is a chain, brand new in the box, that is good for 8 speeds. I have only 6 speed on my freewheel. I also have a freewheel. It is a Shimano Mega Range. The granny gear on this one has 34 cogs, which makes it a climbing gear. Now, I looked at my old one on the bike there, which the granny gear on that one has only 28 cogs, but it doesn't look so bad. I think I'm actually changing my chain just in time to get just one more round out of this freewheel. And I'll show you what it looks like compared to this one. This is brand new, and the one that's on the bike, it's like you cannot really tell the signs of wear from the way I see it. Of course, once I put the chain on, I may find that it skips, and then I'll have to put this on. But being on a budget means you get the most out of the parts that you have. So I will try to get another couple of months maybe out of this freewheel. The thing is, winter is coming to an end. I'll be riding this thing maybe for another month, but then it's gonna get parked. So we're back at this next November probably, and then, well, probably halfway through the winter I have to do all this all over again. So this thing also fits on my touring bike, so it's always good to have one in stock. Anyways, let's go look at my freewheel on the bike. Alright, we're comparing a brand new freewheel to my old one. See, what the thing is, it is this and that gear that I use most often, so that's where I have to look for the most wear, and that's where it's going to cause me problems if it's worn. And from what I can tell, just by looking at it, it is pretty good. I mean, look at this and then look at that. The difference is, like, if you want to measure it, you can probably find something, and it's probably just minimal, like each pin on the chain, but I am quite confident that I can still get away with using this freewheel, so that's what I'm going to try. Isn't it beautiful? Brand new chain, and it's got a connecting link as well, so I'll be using that. So I'll put the new chain next to the old one because I know that my old chain was the right length. Alright, let's look at this carefully. Oh, now it's backwards, but it won't matter. See, I lined up the 12-inch mark with the hole where the first pin would go, and now we can compare the length of the new chain and the one of the old chain. And at the 0-inch mark, that's where we should have a pin. This one here, as you can see, it is out by, yeah, let's say 1/8 of an inch, but you can see when you line it up with this one, this is a brand new chain. That's perfect. Now let's see what this looks like for the entire chain. You can see that it's in this area here, about 2/3 down the chain, they don't line up anymore at all. As you can see, and this is straight from the box, the new chain is the exact correct length, because over the length of the entire chain, this makes more than 1/8 of an inch, obviously, because it's more than 12 inches long. So this is how much the entire chain has stretched over the period of, say, 4 months. Okay, now to the procedure itself. It is really simple. Like when you see the jockey wheel, see there's a guide here that prevents the chain or anything from getting to the chain or the chain from coming out. So this is where you get it in, and again it goes around the other one, which has the same kind of thing. You have to make sure that it's inside there. Now I can pull on it and it goes around this jockey wheel. And now onto my freewheel. Pull it all the way through there, and that's when got it in the snow already. See, I got my links here. Now this has to go through the derailleur, of course, and I can help this a little bit by moving the crank once it touches the cogs. Basically got it, see? Now I gotta pull on my derailleur, so, because it's spring loaded, see? And that's the tricky part, really, because what you have to do is hold this while you're putting the pins in, because they're spring loaded. You could make a tool out of a coat hanger, I believe, that holds it already, but I don't have that. I'm not that advanced. I usually just do whatever it takes with 2 hands where I should have 4. One side is in. This is how it goes. Now I just put that in. Still, I don't have a really good grip on it, but it's going to work. This is my connecting link. I put it up here so it's easier for me to do. Just needs a little push to snap it into place. Done. See what I did? This I put my pair of pliers with just like a wedge shape in there and I wiggle it. It shouldn't be that hard, but you know, I'm lacking the proper tool for this. There is a kind of plier that actually gets in here and you can push it. Anyways, this chain's done. I hope you enjoyed this. This is just how I, without the proper tools, without a shop, without anything, change my chain. I could have turned the bike upside down and it might even been easier a little bit, but the new chain is on and I think it's all good. I don't know if I'm gonna notice any skipping with the old freewheel. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it has any serious signs of wear, and it's actually a quite thick one when you look at the metal. Now the one thing I'm gonna do before I even think of riding this is lubricate that chain. I've got some very light oil that I use and I mix some graphite powder in there. The problem with the graphite is that it's black. It'll leave stains on your pants and stuff when you get it on there, and it'll also kind of get your bike dirty. But it is a very good lubricant. That's why I use it. I'll show you how it's done. Alright, I got a little bottle of oil here. See? And each link is getting just a drop. Then I work my way around the whole chain like that. Just one little drop. It's actually big drops here, but sometimes it's hard to control. Whatever excess I have at the end, I will have to wipe it off because it attracts dirt. Now also, what I like to mention, you may notice that your chain, when you get it brand new, it's got an oil on it already. Well, that's for packaging, you know, so the chain doesn't rust before you get it. It's not enough to leave it alone like that. You have to give it some extra lubricant. Anyways, I went already around the whole way with the camera off, so this is what I use. It's a light oil. I got graphite powder in there. It's good stuff. Alright, I think I'm very happy because my chain right now is not skipping. I'm gonna shift it one gear. This is a lower gear. These are the two gears that I've used most of the time all winter, unless when I was climbing hills, and as of right now, nothing seems to be skipping, so that's good news.
There you go. I'm still okay with the old freewheel for a while, or more specifically until the new chain is worn out too. If you ride a lot in winter, there's a strategy some cyclists use. Going into winter, they will replace their freewheel or cassette along with the chain. Except they get two chains at once and then alternate them every couple of weeks or so. I've never done this myself, but I've heard people say that this is a good way to keep your chains clean and make it through the entire winter without wearing out the freewheel cogs. After both chains are worn out, you simply get a new set, two chains and a freewheel. The cost is a bit more upfront, but it seems like a good way to deal with wear on your drivetrain. Hope you found this useful or at least entertaining. For more content like this and a whole big series on bicycle touring coming out every Saturday morning, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. Thanks for that, and check out these videos.